This is the Bear Country Outdoors Barely a Podcast. I'm your host, Doug Joyce, and with me is James Forsland and Kris Cantrell. Thanks for joining. Okay, we're back. It's been a very eventful past month since we did our last podcast. Me and Jim went on a wild and crazy elk hunt, and eventually shot a couple of bears. And then also, Kris, what have you been up to?
Working since Africa.
Working since Africa.
Working off all of that taxidermy bill that he accumulated.
If you want to know if I got carried away, yes is the answer. Yes, I got carried away.
Kris has got more stories than we have time for on this podcast.
That is a fact. Yeah,
from Africa.
We'll slowly, as I remember them. The best part is I'm my father's son, right? So they'll get more elaborate and embellished the longer it goes.
You sit on
it. Yeah.
It's okay.
Everything will get bigger. The shots will get farther.
Yeah.
I've heard most of the stories. I haven't heard all the stories yet.
Yeah, I got some stories,
and they're pretty wild.
I got some. Well, when yeah. Pro tip: do not go with an outfitter who owns a taxidermy studio.
Because
if you love taxidermy,
he's going to bargain.
Yeah. Shaw, my PH, who owned Roseville Safaris, owns True Reflection Taxidermy. So at night, you get done, like when we were staying at his lodge in just outside of Grahamstown, we go sit in his like taxidermy showroom studio with a bar. So you sit there, he's pouring you like super good cocktails, right? Mm-hmm. And you're just looking at like hundreds of mounts, dude. There's everything. There's rhino and elephant and crocodile and hippo and everything. Cape buffalo. I'm looking around. I'm like, and I bet you there was 100 species in there, easy.
Really?
Yeah. And you're like, well, what's that? I don't have one of those. He's like, I can get you one.
You're like picking out all the ones. Ooh, I did this one.
Ooh, that's a cool man. I didn't even think about that. And
yeah.
Well,
that's pretty cool. Though.
Yeah, I got carried away, but
he's got quite the system worked out for his clients there.
Yeah. Just pull the cocktails out, and then it's just that's all you need to do.
Yeah.
It's easy to make that credit card expand when you have a few cocktails.
It was funny is on the elk hunt that we went on, me and Jim, we watched Hatari.
Oh yeah.
And we were like, I guess when you're down in Africa, cocktails every night is pretty much the normal thing.
For those of you listeners who have not watched Hatari, it's a John Wayne movie.
It's one of my all-time favorites.
Dude, it's one of the wildest movies you've ever watched in your entire life. Because they're catching animals with cars, like in the African plains, alive.
There's no CGI.
No, there's no animation.
They're actually out there doing it. It's pretty wild. Yeah. You should definitely watch it if you haven't watched it. And if you have watched it, comment Hatari. Best movie ever.
Speaking of, it's been so long. Did we have any giveaways? Were we supposed to do stuff?
I don't think so.
I don't think we did anything
on the last couple ones. I think we were pretty much caught up, except for one guy needs to come and pick up his cooler still. The cooler speaker.
Yeah.
I think we talked to him already, and he was supposed to come get it. And then
who knows?
I don't know. He probably was waiting for us, and we're not great about communication. So reach out to us again, and we will try to get that to you.
Yeah.
We still have it. It's here.
We're still sitting on it.
Yeah.
We haven't given it away to someone else.
Yeah.
It's yours.
Yeah. And since I was telling Doug I was going through the closet, so we don't list Black Rifle Coffee as a spot. So they went public. I don't know if you guys know this. Black Rifle went public. I bought a shit ton of their stock, by the way, like an excessive amount. I've lost tens and tens of thousands of dollars, but we're not going to talk about that. But they had sent in some T-shirts, and so we have a couple extras, and large and extra large. So we're still going to give them away. I still love Black Rifle Coffee.
Yeah.
So when you go public and your company gets that big, everything could just get lost in the mix. We're just little guys here in Stanwood, so we kind of fell through the cracks. Hopefully we can rekindle our love.
A lot of their departments kind of got shut down.
100%.
Outdoors got shut down pretty much.
Which was a shame.
Their fundraising department kind of took a back seat for a while. I noticed they fired back up again. BRCC Fund started doing some more stuff. But
it's a great company. I love their coffee. I like their message. I like the people there. So that'll come back up. But long story short, we still have some of their stuff. We're not just going to like keep it or hawk it on the internet. So if you're a large or extra large,
comment Hatari.
Yeah.
Atari.
Watch that movie because John Wayne's awesome.
Dude, one of the best.
Yeah. And we'll give you a t-shirt. So if you're a large or extra large, let us know.
So if you comment Atari, I guess we're going to give away a t-shirt to somebody.
A t-shirt
that just happened.
Yeah.
That means you watched this episode.
Yep.
You know what? And we got a couple. Maybe we give a couple away.
And also, let's not forget that today's Wednesday. In 2 days, which will be Friday, we are dropping our spring bear hunt from the Quinault.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that we should do a giveaway for that drop, too. We'll announce it on our Instagram.
Yeah.
But by the time you hear this podcast, it'll probably already be out.
Doug's like, I'm not getting this out before Friday.
Oh, yeah. No, it's
Good luck,
already,
boys.
It's set, right, Doug?
It's set. It's ready to go.
Yeah.
So if you leave a comment on our new spring bear hunt, you'll be entered for a giveaway, which we don't know what that is yet, but it's going to be cool.
Super cool giveaway.
You know what? Why not make it? No? Okay. All right. Well,
I got some plans. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have. I almost did it.
Yeah.
I almost did it. Chris saw that look in my eyes.
Yeah. Pump the brakes.
James had the twinkle in his eye.
Yep.
It's got 10 toes in it.
10 toes in. I'm a big stepper.
Oh boy, here we go.
What else is new? There's a new meeting coming up for the commission.
Oh,
they're getting another presentation for black bear management. So that could be a good thing, or that could be a very bad thing, because that means that opens up them rule making again. And obviously, we're not very confident in this commission to make the right choices. But rumor on the street is that there's a new study out. So when we lost our spring bear hunt in 2021, the biologist presented the population to be between 18 and 21,000 bears in the state of Washington.
You slightly misspoke there, James. You said when we lost it. When it was stolen from
I misspoke.
Washington State hunters.
It was stolen.
By our basically illegally placed commission. Anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But now, this new study, they are saying that there's approximately 22,000 bears in the state of Washington. So the population has increased since 2021 and gone up probably well over 1,000 bears, which is good.
Which is weird, because when you don't hunt them in the spring, you think they would just like the numbers would decrease because they're lethargic and sad, and they got all these meetings they got to go to, about underground fences and things of that nature. But
and shot collars,
which is a whole nother thing, by the way, too, that we're not going to talk about.
People are like, "What is Chris talking about right now?"
Yeah,
don't worry about it. We'll get into that.
Yeah. So if they flip back. So the reason I bring it up is there's a spring bear petition to bring back our spring bear season again, and it's coming at the same time that this presentation is happening. So if they listen to reason and listen to scientific numbers, we should have a spring bear season back, because there's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't, especially with the populations increasing. Because we were able to sustain a spring bear season when they stole it. Yeah. So now with the populations increasing, there's absolutely no reason to take a step back and decline it. So we'll see what happens with that.
I'm curious to see.
I've seen a lot of bears this year,
dude.
Not just the ones that we've shot.
Yeah.
We've seen
it was a rough bear year because of the way the berries were and the food and stuff.
Yeah, they burned out really fast. So it was really tough.
That being said, there's bears all over.
I've seen some smashers shot. Not myself, obviously, because I suck at bear hunting. But I've seen some guys.
The bears are where you find them.
The bears are where you find them. I've seen some guys shoot some absolute smasher bears. To touch on that, James, I'm sure some of the people who listen to this are aware that we have done some stuff with Sportsman's Alliance, and we were part of the Lorna Smith lawsuit, which has still not come out yet. I apologize for that. it is not our fault. It's not Sportsman's Alliance's fault. The state of Washington Supreme Court is dragging their feet on it. It's really disappointing to see the wheels of justice turn in the favor of the crooked and the guilty, which would be Lorna. And unfortunately, it's
ran by Bob Ferguson.
Which is ran by Bob Ferguson, who's running for our governor. And he's about, I feel like he's about as crooked as they come. Mm-hmm. He'll never be on our podcast.
No.
Never, ever.
I don't think he'll make it through a podcast.
I'm hoping that he doesn't get to be governor because we're probably in his crosshairs right now. He's waiting to kibosh our businesses.
He's just going to, holy cow.
He's like sitting in his basement rocking right now like Kris and James.
Oh, these guys.
Those guys.
But
they're going down.
I wanted a couple lawsuits structured a certain way for some certain things. We're still working through those details. Right. Now, unfortunately, I can't do whatever I want because I'm not Bob Ferguson or Jay Inslee. So the rules apply to me. Mm-hmm. So we're still working on getting those put together.
We are trying to abide by the rules. I like it.
Yeah.
So we have, so think of it this way. I have like 50 different lawsuit ideas, right? Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I'm not an attorney. And like I said, we have to abide by the rules. And then obviously all of this stuff costs money. So we have 2 attorneys working on this full time through Sportsman's Alliance, who's working with Bear Country Outdoors to help the sportsmen and women of Washington State. Unfortunately, that takes time. Mm-hmm. So some of my ideas have not panned out, unfortunately, but it's going to happen. We appreciate everybody. We're gonna have some solid results and some really good stuff going forward.
Yeah.
So I know that's not what a lot of people want to hear, but
unfortunately, it does. It just takes a lot of time
and money.
The legal system is a joke.
A crock of shit.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole legal system is not great. I mean,
Hurry
look
up
at
and wait.
even on the federal level.
Yeah. Unless you have the power to like overturn, some sort of gun law in a day like Bob Ferguson did, it just doesn't apply to the normal man. But on a positive note, Sportsman Alliance is luckily working with a couple of shitheads like us to make this happen for everybody. So we're working really hard. You guys would shit your pants if you saw all the Zoom meetings and phone calls and shit that we do in between our regular jobs and in between not putting a podcast out for the last month because we've been hunting.
Yeah.
But we've been working on this a lot, so we appreciate everybody. Just that's my update for that.
And we're sorry for not pumping out a bunch of podcast episodes. I know everybody's been wondering about what's going on.
We've had a lot of questions.
We've been out there killing animals is what's been going on.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So 20 days in South Africa with my dad.
Let's hear about. I want to hear.
Let's hear about another.
I want to hear the Hippo story because that's what the main reason why you went there to begin with. Wasn't it? Was Hippo?
Can I tell them about who we've hired to do the film stuff?
You
want to talk about it?
I think we should wait until it's official.
Okay. All right.
But it's going to be good.
Okay.
We are going to be making a film.
We're making a film
on Kris's South Africa hunt.
Me and the old man. It's called the old Papa Ron's. Hopefully, it's not his last hunt, but like he's old as shit, and it was wild.
It sounded like an epic adventure, especially for you and your dad.
Yeah.
Boys and girls, it was wild.
I think it'll be a good twist to all the other videos that we got out there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Shooting bears.
It's not going to be just bears. And, whatever random stuff.
I bet you I have at least 100 hours, if not more, of like
footage.
Just good. I'm not talking B-roll either. I'm talking like cowboy shit.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, we're going to have to really consolidate that down to get it into a film size.
So to tell you about 6 hours of it, right? So I'm going to tell you about a hunt that me and my dad did. I'm trying to I should have taken notes. I left my phone over there, so I'm not even going to look at it because I do have some notes in there. But we're going hippo hunting, right? Mm-hmm. So the first hippo hunt was my hunt. Mm-hmm. And how much do you guys want to hear? Do you want to hear my hippo hunt and my dad's hippo hunt?
Let's start with yours because you shot one first, right?
Yeah.
Let's start with yours, and then we'll see where that leads.
Just do it in order.
You know how I get with the talking.
I know.
Just okay.
All
right.
Rip.
So here it goes.
Let her rip, here, Chip.
So we fly in to Johannesburg. We go to this guy's place, which is north. It's not Shaw's ranch. So we're staying at this guy's, and we go around, and when we have a couple hunts, and
so you fly in. You're staying with Shaw first.
So he picks us up at the airport.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, how about I just start from there, right? So Seattle to Doha, Qatar. We stay overnight in Qatar, which was wild, in the airport, inside the airport, like 5-star hotel, super fun. Like you're looking over at the security line in the airport from our hotel room. And it's right above where you can buy gold bars because they sell gold bars in the airport. And it's literally all around this airport. This airport's giant in Doha. The airport, it literally says it was voted the nicest, or is the number one airport in the world.
Okay.
In the world. 2021, 2022, and 2024. I don't know who won 2023. Must be a nice airport. We're in Seagates. Seagates,
definitely nowhere in the U.S. I could tell you
Spokane.
that.
Dude, the Seagate that I'm in, guess how many docking stations they have in Seagate? So it's like one gate, C1, C2, C3.
Probably 100.
93.
Jeez.
Just in C.
Wow.
93. Dude, it was wild.
So it's massive.
Yeah. I mean, literally, there's a place where you go buy gold bars right below, like a huge, I mean, massive. Like, they probably had millions of dollars worth of gold bars. So anyways, we stay the night there.
How much was gold over there?
The same price here.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah. Oh, my dad asked. He was like, I'm going to go out some bunch of gold bars. I'm like, Dad, don't. No. Okay, he's going. Yep. Here we go. Here we go. There's this giant old white man walking over like,
How much is gold?
he's like, hey, my name's Redneck Ron. I'm from America. I like gold. You like gold? I like gold.
I'll make you a bargain on your gold.
And he was like, all of a sudden he picks up like this cowboy American accent when we go anywhere. And I'm just like, all right, here we go. The old man's getting it. So we fly from there the next day into Johannesburg. We land in Johannesburg. We got to get our guns. It's this big cool deal because I brought 2 guns. My dad brings 2 guns.
Right.
Luckily, our PH is there with the cameraman. So we hired a cameraman in South Africa who was also a PH, great hunter. And so Shaw, the owner of Safari Corporation, and the PH is waiting. We go get our guns. We get out. We have to go find our truck because I forgot where they parked the truck. It's like in East Jesus in Johannesburg, this giant airport. We get in and he goes, okay, now we have like a 6-hour drive or something. So we got to drive so he's south of Johannesburg, southeast, because he's in the East Cape. We drive way north, like towards Botswana. And I'm like, all right, I have no idea where we're going because it was just kind of like willy-nilly, right?
Right.
So we get to this place. I meet this guy. We're never going to get this Hippo story because I got so many stories in between. But so we show up to this lodge. It's late. They have this incredible dinner ready for us.
You have to skip a few things, Chris.
Yeah, they give us cocktails, and we're sitting there, and we're talking.
That's what gets you is the cocktails.
Well, and then we get to talking about bullets with the guy who owns this lodge that we're at, right? And so I'm talking with him, and he's showing me all these bullets, and he's a through and through guy, right? And I'm a leave all the energy in the animal kind of guy. So we get into this discussion, right? And he's like, no, you got to do this because this. And I'm like, no, you got to do this. And I just met this guy, and I'm having this internal dialogue with myself. Chris, don't be a dickhead and talk down to this guy. He's shot like elephants and all this stuff. And you're just some freaking American. He doesn't know you own a gun shop. He doesn't know, like.
He doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, on the hundreds of animals that I've shot, I've thought that, I like this and this and this because of this. And he's like, well, on the hundreds of animals that I've shot, I like this because of this and this and this. And so we're going back and forth. Really interesting guy. And long story short, we're talking about American random stuff. And then we started talking about farms because I was like, oh yeah, I sell some farms back home because I do commercial real estate. And he goes, oh yeah, I had an American over here. And I was like, oh yeah. I go, my cousin does, he's an agronomist. He does farming. And I'm like, oh, his name's Aaron Bagwell. And he goes, you got to be shitting me. This South African guy.
Yeah.
You got to be shitting me. And he gets on his phone. He pulls up a picture of my cousin hunting with him. My cousin, Aaron Bagwell, who's the agronomist here,
Yeah.
hunting with this guy in South Africa. I'm like, so he knows my cousin.
Really?
Yes.
How random is that?
How random is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my cousin is the most.
And your cousin never told you about it?
No, well, he had sent me like a picture of like, hey, I shot a blesbuck, you know.
Yeah.
Like, but he's literally the most interesting man in the world. He's in a different country every day. He literally flies to every continent. He knows everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows probably 100 billionaires. I mean, the guy is he's literally the most interesting man in the world. So anyways, that's how this starts. So we go out cat hunting at night. So we're doing night hunting there, and I shoot all sorts of cats and porcupines and all sorts of shit. And I'm not going to spoil those because that's a bunch of good stories there. But fast forward past the cat hunting at night.
Podcast.
Oh, dude. So he's like, hey, let's go. We're going to go hippo hunting, but we got to drive like an hour and a half north. Was it? I don't think it's the Limpopo River. It's something off the Limpopo River. Anyways, there's a river, big river, and the hippos come out at night onto this guy's. They call them just citrus. There's orange. These massive, huge orange farms, right?
Like these groves of orange trees, or what?
Dude, as far as the eye can see.
Really?
And by the way, there's nothing in South Africa. It is dirt and rocks and nothing. And then you get along the river, and then there's this. It's the only section of agriculture I've ever seen in South Africa ever. And we literally drove from north to south. I mean, the entire country, right? There's not a lot.
Yeah.
So long story short, the farmer that owns this citrus plantation goes, hey, we have these hippos coming in destroying our trees at night.
Yeah.
This is our livelihood. We need you to come kill all these freaking, like, shoot all the hippos. And he's like, well, we can't, we have a permit for 2 hippos.
Yeah.
Because the government regulates the tags, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so the farmers
plantation's like, shoot them all.
Oh yeah, they want to kill them all because dude.
Yeah.
The minimum wage in Africa is like $1 something an hour. And the guy that I'm with says it's not regulated like here. The vast majority of people don't make minimum wage. It's like they make like $1 or $2 a day. So
Right.
you're like, holy crap, like that's not a lot of money. So we go there and we're like, hey, we're serious. We're like, all right, Dad, let's go shoot these hippos. We're hunting dryland hippos, right? So they got to come out of the river. When do they come out of the river? At night, when you can't see.
Okay.
And like when I was a younger man, I had great night vision. Like I could see very, very well. And now I'm old balls. I can't see shit at night. And it's not like they're turning on lights for you either. So you're skulking around through all these orange trees in the middle of the night. And I mean, I don't know how big it is, thousands of acres. I mean, it's huge, right? So we're skulking around. I got my 470 double. I got my poor old man behind him. And we're just walking around in the dark, listening and looking. And they got thermals and they're looking around like, oh, no hippos, no hippos, no hippos. So we do this for hours and hours. Now it's like midnight. And he goes, let's go across this little road and go up above because there's a bunch of ponds along the way. And sometimes they go up there. All right. So we go up there. Long story short, we hike up this hill and we come around and we look down this cut in between the orange trees. And there's a bunch of hippos, but they're walking away down back towards the river. And, and the wind is shit, like terrible, right? It's in our face now. But there's no way we're going to catch up with them. And to get around and get in front of them, the wind's going to blow in their face. So the guy goes, hey, this guy who had met us there that opened the gates for us, he lives right around the corner. Let's go sleep at his house, just his regular house.
Yeah.
Right? It's me and my dad, the PH and the cameraman, and our tracker, Richard. And so we just go and sleep in this guy's house for like 3 hours.
Okay.
Literally. Because...
Go knock on the door and
we're
gonna sleep here.
Yeah, like, oh, we're just gonna sleep in your beds. So we go there, we sleep for like 3 hours.
Okay.
He goes, the sun's gonna be up in an hour, so we get up, slam some. They all drink instant coffee there.
Okay.
So like the old not like Folgers, but like the crap, and they So anyways, we make this terrible.
Is it like the Cuban coffee or whatever?
You were probably like, man, I should have brought some Black Rifle.
Dude, I said literally, I was thinking like the the instant ones.
The instant
that'd
sticks.
have been so, or some RTDs would have been so good.
Yeah.
There. Oh. Yeah, coffee. So we suck down all this coffee. We get in the truck. It's dark. We go back up. When we get up there, and nothing. And so the hippos weren't where we thought they were. And so there's a guy who works this like citrus plantation that says like, hey, I check all the pumps, right? Because there's like it'd be like the dried up river was pond over here, pond over here, pond over here, and they got to pump water. There's not shit for water there, like none. So they're pumping it from one spot to the other. So he goes, I got to go check all the pumps all the time at these ponds. And usually the hippos, because he like literally just, it's all bush, like it's wild stuff. He goes, when I walk through, there's usually hippos over here. And they're saying all this in Afrikaans. My Afrikaans is not good, right? Like I know a couple, like I know some swear words, and I know like, I know
the funny ones.
Yeah, like, well, the terrible trees, you always know like when something gets you. The Vahabiki Boom, which tore up my Kuyu coat, which I posted the other day, which Kuyu wouldn't even send me some patches. Bums. $500 coat.
Numa would, because you know why? Because they have a lifetime warranty.
Yeah, that's true. Numa does have a lifetime warranty, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so my coat and my dad's coat got completely destroyed on that hunt, so it was $1,000 for the coats down the shitter. But don't wear your Kuyu puffy coat to South Africa. So
through the brush.
So now this guy comes up. We wait for him, and that they all drive these like it's like a Toyota Hilux or a Land Cruiser. Mm-hmm. They come in the back of the trucks. The dude just jumps out. Truck doesn't even stop, and they're talking. And so we just start. And the guy just takes off. So we're like, oh shit, I guess I'm supposed to follow this guy. So we're single line file through the bush. Again, everything has thorns there. Everything. The trees have thorns. Acacia trees have. Google acacia tree thorn. It will blow your mind. The bushes have thorns. The grass has thorns. And then everything else is rocks, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, I'm trying to follow this guy. He's moving fast. He's not making a sound. And I'm like, this is what I sound like walking through this. Which probably sounds very exaggerated on our thing. Doug's going, oh, God, this is going to sound terrible. But it's loud, right? And I'm trying to be quiet. And then I got my dad. And then I got the camera, man. And then I got the other PH behind me. And we're all trying to hustle. And so we get all through this, and we go down these things and up and around. And we're all getting scratched to crap. And then he stops. And the guy goes, there's a hippo right there. And I'm looking. And I'm like, I still got, like my reading, I got to wear readers like up close, but long distance, dude, I can see crystal clear. And I'm looking through the bush, and I'm going, I see no hippo. I don't know what you're talking about. And he goes, you see that little gray kind of right there? And I go, yeah. He goes, that's a hippo. Are you sure? Yeah. So I pull my binos up. I got the BX4 range finding crystal clear loophole binoculars. Yeah. Love them. And I pull it up.
During the day?
During the day, middle of the day.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, and I'm like, I see gray. But you can see like a 6-inch window through this bush. And we're probably looking 100 yards through all these acacia trees, there's storms and everything. And I was like, I don't see anything moving. So anyways, long story short, he goes, oh, yeah, those are hippos. We got to sneak around. I'm like, okay.
Like, listen to the expert.
It looks like nothing. There's nothing. There's no outline of an animal. There's nothing moving with the breath. Nothing. So anyways, we start sneaking around. So it's me, the cameraman's behind me, and then the guy, the lodge that we're staying at, the PH, the guy's name is Jimmy. So Jimmy's in front of me. Jimmy, who knows my cousin. So Jimmy's in front of me, which is hilarious. This South African guy is cool South African guy. So he's sneaking in the brush in front of me, and I'm trying to be quiet, and we're getting closer and closer and closer, and all of a sudden, like, I keep checking the binos, and I'm like, God, and then like all of a sudden, like, you can start to see a little better, like we're like maybe 50 yards now, and I'm like, oh, I kind of can see an outline of something, but it's that thick. Yeah, the brush is thick. You can see 15 feet maybe, So you're 5 yards. Like, you got 5 yards of visibility. And we get around, and he's checking the wind, and I'm like, and I'm trying to be a good, client, and not like, because I want to check the wind and I want to do all this stuff, and I'm watching him, and I'm like, okay, all right, I'm watching where he's stepping, and I'm seeing what he's doing. I'm watching the camera behind me because he's a PH too, and I'm watching what they're doing, and they are so freaking quiet, deadly quiet. And I'm just like, I'm going to step exactly where he steps. I'm going to see how he puts his foot down. That's how I'm going to put my foot down. I see how he moves his body around the bush. Because everything has thorns and it's grabbing you, right? Yeah. So I'm like, okay, that's how he touches it, and that's how he moves around. And I'm trying to be quiet. And then I look over, and all of a sudden I see like a whole hippo laying down.
Yeah. So it's laying down.
It's laying down. That's why I was like, God, it doesn't look like anything, right? So it's they're bedded. There's 2 hippos bedded down, and so it was kind of like this amalgamous pile of gray, blubbery. You can't. I mean, there's no horns. There's no antlers.
Yeah.
There's no nothing. It's just this big
blob.
Just big blob. 2 blobs like and you're looking through the bush, and so I'm like, oh shit, that's a hippo, right? But now we're like 35 yards, and I'm like,
okay,
this is close.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't know if you guys know this, hippos run 28 miles an hour.
That's very fast.
I can't run 28 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And they have big teeth.
Yeah.
And this is
and they don't like people.
And they hate people.
They're one of the deadliest animals in the world.
So literally the guy goes, the hippos were hunting, killed a guy 2 weeks ago. Chomped him, like the guy that came at him. The guy tried to push him off, and the hippo just kept biting his legs and bit him up to the thighs, and the guy just bled out and died.
Out?
Yeah.
Like on the farm?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Died. Like dead. And so the government gave him permission to come in and shoot hippos because they're killing people, right?
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Yeah, that is wild.
So
you're hunting these man killers.
This is in my mind, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh great,
I already heard this story, and you're like, okay.
I mean, I knew they killed people, and like when you Google it, like they're the most dangerous animal land animal in South Africa. So I'm like, all right.
But they just killed somebody.
And they just killed somebody. I'm like, great. So now we're 35 yards from this deadly animal. And he goes, "Oh, we need to get closer.
Get closer.
So we're circling around. He's checking the wind. He's checking the wind.
Cowboy shit.
But it's like when you're in the woods, and the wind swirls and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, if it swirls, I'm like, dude, we're close. Like, granted, I have a 470 Nitro Express double rifle, but
you got 2 shots.
You never know.
I'm not that good, guys. I'm not that good. I mean, I've killed.
You hope you're that good.
I killed 2 bears with this rifle.
You gotta have a lot of confidence.
Yeah, in the spring hunt in Alberta, and that's the only thing I've ever killed with this rifle. I mean, I've shot it a few times, but here we go. So we're sneaking around. Now we're getting closer. Like he's tightening the circle as the wind changes, and we get closer and closer and closer. And pretty soon we're like 20 yards. Dude, 20 yards is close.
Yeah, it's close. Yeah.
To a 4,000-pound animal. And so he's looking. He's like, I can't tell. I got to see the head, because there's no way. I mean, it's just this big pile of gray, right? And so my heart is beating out of my freaking chest. The cameraman is right over my right ear. The PH is here, and he goes, I'm going to take a wad of dirt and throw it in the bushes. And I'm like, why? Why would you do that? And he's like, I need it to stand up so I can see its face, because if it's a male, it has like big tusks and it'll push its front kind of like jowls up, and you'll be able to see, right? Mm-hmm. So when you look at a hippo, if it's a wide face and it's got 2 like bumps, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like gums, those are the big teeth pushing up, and I'm like, okay.
You're like, I had no idea.
But we're really close. We're 20 yards, dude.
And you're like, I'm putting my shit on the trigger.
And, so I'm like, all right, Kris, here's like, I'm mentally walking myself through this process. I'm like, the cameraman doesn't have a gun. I'm pretty sure the PH. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one with a gun. I don't even know. I don't remember. It was like, we'll have to check the footage, right?
Yeah.
So I just know that but I'm in charge of keeping these guys alive and keeping myself alive, and I'm in 20 yards from a 4,000-pound killing machine, and I'm like, all right. So I get ready. I shoulder my gun. I pull up, right, and I had put a loophole delta point on my double rifle, because I just shoot it 1,000 times better than regular iron sights.
Right.
So I pull it up and I check my red dot, and it was too low, so I got to adjust it because it's the middle of the day, right? So I want it brighter, so and I hit that. I'm like, okay, now I'm ready. I'm like, okay, go ahead and throw it. And I wait. And he's like, fumbles around with this big dirt clod, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Dirt. Yeah, like my heart is beating out of my chest. I'm ready to go. I'm ready for this thing to attack me, right? And he's like trying to. It's so tight. There's so much brush. He's trying to figure out how he can throw this thing without hitting all the brush around us.
Yeah,
and it feels like forever, right? And I'm getting irritated. And I'm like 2 hours of sleep. I had a 38-hour flight. I'm just like, throw the goddamn dirt. So he finally throws it. And I am not shitting you. I have never seen an animal that size come to its feet that fast. You see the videos where the guys put like airbags under some guy's seat and they hit the button and the guy like flies off. Yeah. That's how fast this thing got up. I am not kidding you one bit. It didn't mosey up. It just boom, and it was up. And I was like, and I get ready. And I'm waiting for him to say shoot because I don't know if it's a male or female, right? So he's like, oh, we got to take a look. So anyways, but there's two of them. Boom, both of them pop up instantly. And I'm like, and I'm on him, right? And I'm in a double rifle. They're heavy. Like, I don't know how much my gun was, probably 15, 16 pounds, right? Yeah. So I'm holding it up and I'm tucked in and I'm ready. And my heart's beating. I can see even at 20 yards, like the gun's moving a little bit. I'm like, calm your shit down, Kris. Here we go. Like, lock it in. Lock it in. And I'm telling myself that, right? And I'm like, and I'm breathing, and he doesn't say anything. The Peach doesn't say anything. And I'm locked in on this Hippo, and I have a window to shoot through. It's like maybe like 12, 14 inches through the bush. That's it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm shooting a 500 grain.
500 grain.
Yeah, I'll shoot through anything.
Yeah.
But I'm waiting for him. He's like, after like, which feels like forever. I mean, which probably like a minute. He goes, I can't tell. It won't turn his head. And I'm like,
Yeah.
And I'm like, son of a bitch. So anyways, I hold the gun at the ready, which feels like forever. It's probably 4 minutes. And then the Hippo lays back down, and I'm like, oh, and then I kind of like drop the gun. My arm is killing me. My heart is beating still. I can hear the cameraman behind me like chuckling, like,
yeah, he's like,
look at this yank, So long story short, we can't tell. So he's like, I'm going to do it again. And I'm like, bro, we're pushing our luck.
Yeah.
Like 2 times? Okay. So this time, I'm like, all right, if that thing turns and comes at us, even if he doesn't say anything,
you're dumping him.
I'm pulling the back trigger and then I'm pulling the front trigger, right? So the reason because it's got 2 triggers. Yep. The reason you do that, because if you pull the front trigger, you could do this thing. The recoil on this thing is incredible.
Yeah,
like a lot of guys will accidentally pull the back trigger too, and if you pull both triggers at the same time, dude, goodbye shoulder. Right?
Yep, goodbye.
1,000 grains is going down range.
Do it.
So I'm ready. I'm on the back trigger. Gun's tucked, and I'm like, all right. He does the same thing. Throw it, and he throws it. And this time, when it pops up, it turns a little bit, and then you can see the side of his face. And he's like, oh, he goes, it's really, because he can't see like the genitalia, right?
Yeah.
But he's like, dude, it's a really big Hippo. He goes, I'm pretty sure it's a male, but I can't tell for sure, And I'm like, okay, well, do you want me to shoot or not?
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know, just let me look more. And and you can kind of see it's like shuffling around. And I'm just like, I just want red light, green light. Like, let's go, baby. I'm ready. I mean, I am tuned in. And it's 20 yards, dude. Like, I can hear its breath. I can see it blink in its eyes. And pretty soon he's like, I'm pretty sure it's a bull. You should shoot it. And I'm like, as soon as he said shoot it, I'm like, boom! And I touch that 470 off, and I only have like a 12-inch, 14-inch window to shoot through, I'm shooting it in like right behind the shoulder is where my target is at, right? And so I'm looking at its feet, and it's quartered to me just a little bit. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to tuck it in right behind the front shoulder. I'm not going to try and break the shoulder down because I want to just put it right through its lungs. Because if it runs off, like I don't really care, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I just want it to die.
Yeah.
Quickly and not kill me.
Yes.
Because I'm shooting the DGS, so the Dangerous Games, or no, DG, they're the expandable ones, right?
Yeah.
So it's a soft point, so it'll open up. So the 500 grain bullet, 470 diameter, opens up to like 3/4 of an inch. I mean, so it's like running like a fire hose through.
Yeah,
like
that's a big piece of lead.
Yeah,
it's a
and
big bullet.
7,000 something foot-pounds of energy. So boom, I shoot. And the thing takes off and and all of a sudden it disappears in the bush. And he's like, "Can you see it?" I'm like, "No, I can't." I'm ready for the second shot. It runs away. The other one runs away. And I didn't know this because I've never hunted this area, but there's like a pond like 50 yards right below us, and you hear it just. Running.
Hit the water?
It's running trees over first. And then you hear that water smash. Like explosion. And and you hear it like a dinosaur roar, and I'm like, oh my god, like, dude. And you can hear like the water.
So is it like a death moan or something?
I don't know. Like
a hippo death moan?
This is my first hippo hunt, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. And he doesn't tell me any of this. So it sounds like a dinosaur, like legit. And it is loud, like deafening loud. It hits the water. It sounds like the pond's empty now. Like that's how loud the splash was. And so we're like, now we're running through the bush, right? All the thorns.
Towards the wounded hippo.
You know, I still have one in the pipe, so I'm trying to be mindful, hold my gun up, running through. The PH is in front of me. The tracker's pushing me, like, or the cameraman's like, let's go, you know? And I'm like, okay. And so I run up. We get to the edge of the water, and by this time, the thing is starting to crawl out of the other side of the pond. It's only like 20 yards
So it went
wide.
Across the pond.
Yeah, it's only like 20 yards of pond, right?
Yeah.
And so it takes like 2 steps out and just and falls over halfway out of the pond, like stone cold dead, dude.
No kidding.
Yeah, it just and I'm like, oh, it's dead. You know, like, are you? Is it dead? And he's like, put one more round in it just to make sure. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I'm getting ready to shoot it again, and he's like, oh, don't shoot it from here, shoot it from over here. So I go back around the to the left, like another 20 yards.
Yeah.
For a different shot. It's like there's like no breathing, no nothing, but it's 4,000 pounds, and it just like, you know, this could be the one that potentially just killed somebody. So I'm like, I go around and I put another round. It doesn't even move. It was completely dead when I shot it the second time. But so like one shot from that 470 killed this 4,000-pound animal, and I mean in the span of 10 seconds.
Wow.
Maybe 10 seconds, probably less than that.
That's crazy,
dude. It was wild. So then we go over there. This thing's still halfway laying in the water.
Yeah. I saw the pictures. It looked like it was
and then
part in, part out.
And then what do you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they get this, dude, this is the biggest freaking tractor I've ever seen, because this is a huge, massive agricultural area, right?
Farm,
Yeah.
So like this tractor comes with like 8-foot tall tires at least, maybe bigger.
Yeah.
And they're like, there's this guy. What was this guy's name?
They have to call a loader over from the mines or what?
Dude. And they're
From
backing
the
this
orange
thing
tree
down.
farm.
No, from the mines, Jim.
Dude.
From the diamond mine?
Yeah, they don't have loaders at orange tree farms.
So it's just a big tractor. That's it. There's not even there's not a front end loader. There's nothing on it, right? So they're just gonna like they tie a chain around it,
Yeah.
and then hook it to this gigantic tractor. And God, I wish I could remember that guy's name. Dude, there's this guy there. I'm not shitting you. He was one of the biggest human beings I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
African guy?
Yeah, African guy. Dude,
Yeah.
black guy. So it's 99% black, they're 1% white. So like everyone is black unless I say they're white, right?
Okay.
So all these guys, everyone's black in this, but like, you know, they're like just normal guys, right? You know, like, you know, our size, right? Mm-hmm. And then this one guy comes and I go, holy shit, look at the size of this guy. Dude, his hands were like 1.5 foot long. He had the biggest goddamn hands I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm like, he's just going to pick the hippo up with one hand and pull it out. And he was like, dude, he was so freaking strong. Like, so I asked my guy,
Did he
like,
drag the hippo?
like literally, I asked the guy, I'm like, oh yeah, he works for me. He's so and so. He's, you know, he's got 5 kids and all this. And I'm like, thank God this guy is breeding, because holy cow, that's incredible. That human being, and he picked this chain up that was probably hundreds and hundreds of pounds, like with one hand, hooks it on the track. Like there's like 4 guys trying to put on the tractor. He like literally grabs it and just like bang and puts it on.
Yeah.
Dude, he was incredible. And so they have this huge tractor. And so he was like literally pushing the big guy. He's pushing trees over and cutting trees down so this thing could back up towards it. And the trees are like, I mean, a tree there is like 6 inches at the base. I mean, these are not trees, right? They're like 10 feet tall. The tractor could have backed down over it. But so the tractor backs down. This is the best part. We take all the pictures. We do a little stuff. We're super excited. We're high-fiving, you know, congratulations. I'm like, oh, my first hippo is so exciting. And they back this huge, gigantic tractor up. We're getting ready because they're going to drag it out. We're going to take pictures, and they're going to skin it. Back the tractor down, and they get it at an angle, and all the fuel goes to one side, and they had like basically an empty tank, and the tractor dies.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And it will not start. And like they don't have any diesel. And the guide looks at me And I look at him and I'm like, oh no, do I have to pay for that? Like, this is bad. And he's like, nope. Grab your stuff. We're going back to the lodge. And then so we like, there was 10 dudes there, right?
Yeah.
And so they took care of the tractor, and I guess like an hour later they got it started, and they drug this thing out, and so they skin it, right? Mm-hmm. And then, dude, they filled an entire pickup bed. They're, you know, I mean, they have little trucks there, like the biggest. It's like they're all Ford Ranger sized trucks there, right. Every single one. They don't have big trucks there.
Yeah.
So they load the bed full of this meat, right? Because they eat everything. Everything went like, dude, they don't waste a scrap. And then sent the hide back. And I remember looking at the hide, and it was folded in half, and it was like, I was shocked. The hide is as thick as a Coors Light can.
Really?
No, not fat.
Thick.
The hide is as thick as a Coors Light can.
That's incredible.
And I was like, holy shit, what do you do with that? And he's like, and they all had like box cutters, you know, like where you could slide the blade in and out, right?
So you got like length. Right?
So all the way out with like a regular blade, not the long skinny ones, but a regular blade, they all slide them all the way out. Mm-hmm. And then you have to score the hide in 1-inch strips and across, so you make a grid pattern so they can get salt in there to dry it out. Otherwise, it'll rot.
Really?
Yeah.
On the inside?
Yeah. So they lay it out, just like you're saying, like, you know, outside down, so the inside of the skin is up, and they just sit there and they score it.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was just like, what? And he's like, yeah. And then obviously we shave it down, right? But he goes, oh, it's a chore, you know? And I'm like, I couldn't imagine. And it took a tractor to load it in the back of the truck. Like, I don't know how much the hide. I don't know how much it weighed, but the guys couldn't even pick it up. Like, it took a tractor to put it in the back of the truck.
Wow.
Yeah. And when it was folded, it didn't fold in half. There was no creases. It was just like this big. I mean, it like went like this. I mean, it was like a 10-inch circumference of like. I mean, it was wild.
That is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it was just.
Well, and the heads on those things.
Oh, dude, it was so big.
So big.
Yeah, the head's probably.
You're gonna make a hell of a euro.
Dude.
You getting the skull done?
So he's going to make a side table out of the skull. So he's going to euro the skull, put a piece of glass on top, and it's going to sit at the butt end right here. Imagine this couch is going away in the podcast studio.
Couch?
Yes.
And the Hippo couch is coming to fruition. Life-size Hippo, mouth open.
I like.
And then a couch. So it's going to be facing this way. And all this is going to be Hippo couch right in the middle of the body.
It's going to be no more couches, no more furniture in the room. Everything will be custom taxidermy.
Custom taxidermy.
Just like your
He's going to
recliner.
have a hippo head table.
And a Hippo skull table. So that's I'm not going to tell my dad's because it'll take me way too long because I'm a long storyteller. But yeah, so that was my Hippo experience.
That was wild.
And it was. I'm not gonna lie.
You hadn't told me that whole detailed story.
It was. I honestly can't remember the last time I hunted something where I could like, I had to physically calm myself down. Like, dude, I'm like, Kris, calm
like
down.
15-year-old.
Yeah, like, dude.
Yeah.
Tone it down.
Like when you get buck fever and your heart's pumping out of your chest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I haven't felt that feeling for a while, but that's pretty cool.
Because it was like, there's a very real chance you could die if you mess this up.
Yeah.
So, dude.
I think what happens is like when you have more time to sit there and the anticipation like builds up.
Oh, dude.
That's what gets you. Like if it's like really fast, kind of like what our story is, which we'll tell here in a minute.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to hear about that.
That's pretty.
So speaking of, mine's basically done, right?
Yeah.
So you guys went elk hunting.
Yep. We went on an elk hunt because I had a cow tag.
Start us at the beginning.
Oh, boy.
Start at the beginning, Jim.
Well, with every great story, it must start at the beginning. So I draw this cow tag in a unit that I've never hunted in.
Yep.
And
me neither.
Doug has a multi-season tag, so he said, well, I'll come join you on this hunt, and we'll just hunt together.
It sounds like a good time.
You know, Doug's hunting true spikes, and I'm hunting cows. So, I mean, the chances of us getting an elk are fairly good.
And we're hunting in a new area, so it's intriguing.
We're thinking we can explore this new unit, and we're gonna get into some elk. And we had a couple day overlap of muzzleloader deer season, which was kind of cool because you could hunt deer.
Which you almost made it happen.
Almost made it happen the first day.
Yeah,
but just couldn't get enough time to see if this buck was legal or not. But anyways, it was just cool to be hunting a muzzleloader season where you can hunt elk, deer, and bear, and mountain lion all at the same time. Which is really cool.
You could fill all 4 tags at the same time, which really you could fill 5 because you have 2 bear.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it is 4. Never mind.
Well, I had 2 bear tags in my pocket and a cougar tag and
yeah,
elk tag and deer tag. And that's really, as far as I know, like the only season where you can hunt all animals at the same time. I guess archery, some of the seasons are
you
open
get a
like
little
that.
bit of it, but yeah, when you're out there with a muzzleloader, you feel. I don't know if I feel more comfortable with the muzzleloader.
Not after Doug's hunt.
Not after this experience where I guess, just shoot it a couple times at 50 yards. Yeah, we're good to go. Which we'll get into.
So we start out and get to the campsite, and I'm hunting deer for a few days, and I'm mostly just scouting for elk. Find this herd of elk, small herd, and see a big bull, and I'm like, okay, I think I got a spot for us, and at that point, that was the only elk that I had found.
And it just so happens, like, you had found, you saw that one bull, the day before I got there.
This is the day before.
Yeah.
So then Doug shows up, and I'm like, well, the only spot I got is this spot that I already saw this bull, and there's definitely some cows
James
in
like,
there
I
too.
already beat up the woods. I'm tired already.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I'd already
boy.
put in 20-plus miles hiking on the boots before Doug got there.
Oh.
And so Doug gets there.
We put a lot of miles
And I'm
on
like,
the boots.
well, we can go check out this spot. So we hike into this spot, which you have to basically park and then basically just go straight up the mountain and then get to a new road system because it's the only way to get in. Everything else is landlocked.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Yeah. So we get in there and we're going in and we get to this big clearing and we find some elk tracks. But what do we find on those elk tracks? Do you remember, Doug?
Wolf tracks.
Oh, you're
Wolf
kidding me.
came in overnight, chased the elk around in this area, and they was all blown out, right? Fresh wolf tracks. And this is right above the valley, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And
this is right near someone's house, actually, that
probably
we walked by.
450 yards from someone's house.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And we're just like, oh, this is lovely, So I'm like, I guess this is blown out. So me and Doug kind of hunt around a little bit in there, and we get down.
We'd seen some deer, but not the ones that Jim was looking for.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of does. Didn't see any elk, didn't hear anything.
Nope, no bugles over there. So we hiked out of there. That was about an 8-mile loop that we did.
Yeah.
We get down to the truck, and from where we were parked on the road, there's another spot that we could just walk across, and then if we cross the river, we could get into a whole nother side. So we put on our big boy pants.
Yeah, we're like, well, what should we do? Should we go back to camp and drink beer, or should we go hunting?
I was like, well, if we go back and drink beer, we're probably not going to cross the river and make it in here.
So I was like, well, we only got a few days. We might as well put the big boy pants on and make it happen.
Yep. So we go down to the river, and we have to take our boots off because the river's too deep. So we take our boots off and we wade across the river.
So we're fjording the river
Yep.
to get to the other side.
We're going just complete like Jim Shockey style.
Don't forget, when we got down there was actually a little trolley that was still rigged up that would go across the river, except for on the other side, the platform was completely washed out and it fell out of the hillside.
Yeah. And so I was like, hey, let's go across this trolley. It's all like blockaded off, like danger.
Like it looked nice. Like on the one side, there was actually like a tall platform, like built like out of steel and everything, and it looked pretty decent. But the other side, where the platform was,
what's wild is it's on public land too. Like it's
public land. So
public
it
land.
must
It's
be
really
like
weird.
Was it a cable still going across?
yeah.
Dude,
The cable was still there.
We thought about
We
it.
thought about it.
We thought about it, and then I was like, I don't know. What if this thing falls down in the river?
Well,
Right.
the thing was is the cable went over to like a sheer face,
Yeah.
and there was
Oh.
nothing there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So we go across the river, and then we get up, and we have to hike up this face, and then we end up on this road system. Once you're in the road system, you can go all over in there.
Yeah, there's roads all over.
So
the
we
place.
get in there, and we didn't make it too far in. We start finding a lot of elk sign, like a lot.
tracks are just all
And
over
I'm like,
the road,
okay, we
up
found
and down the road.
We found where there's some elk hanging. So I'm like, we got a good starting point for tomorrow. So we hunted there for a little bit, and then we go back, and we come back in the morning. We get up early. We pull up in there, and there's some guy parked there. There hadn't been anywhere there the whole time, and we're like, really, like seriously. So we pull up next to him. And we start. He's driving a Tundra. I'm driving a Tundra, and we're talking. You know, like, hey man. He's like, oh, if I come to find out, he has a cow tag as well, right?
Oh, okay.
He's having a hard time finding the elk too.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I went in on the other spot, but I thought I'd come over here. And I'm like, oh yeah.
So he's
I'm thinking, you saw
basically-
my truck here yesterday, dude. I know it.
Yeah.
So basically, we're thinking he's going in the same place.
Yeah.
Classic.
As we are.
Classic Tundra
So-
guy move.
So I'm getting out and getting ready. Doug's getting ready, and he's like looking at me, and we're looking at him. He's getting his gear on really fast, and he just like takes off, and I'm like, son of a bitch! Like this
Yeah.
guy's
Which way
trying
does
to.
he go?
He's the same
So
area.
he cut across. So like, there's like a field where it's like a wildlife area. He cut straight across the field, and we actually walked the road. So we walked the road, and when we got down there, we were like, oh shit, he's already down there.
Yeah, so he hurried in front of us, got in, and then he didn't take his boots off. He just raged across the river and just gunned it.
Yeah.
Really?
And me and Doug had to take off our boots. So by the time we get across, he's already up there, and he's like trying to get ahead of us and blow out our area, right? And we're like, and at this point, I'm getting a little bit irritated because I'm like, dude, I just want to know which direction you're going so that we don't hunt the same area. Like if you go this way, I'll go the completely opposite way. I don't want anything to do. I'm not going to walk behind you. I'm not going to try to blow out your hunt. Just let me know what you're doing. So me and
think
Doug,
That's a great pro tip, by the way. Like if someone's there ahead of you, be like, hey, which way you going?
yeah,
I'm gonna
Like,
go. We're
let's
going to
try
the
and
same
work
spot.
something out
Yeah.
here instead
Right.
of like trying to blow our.
yeah.
Yeah,
Everyone's
our
trying
own-
to screw each
Take
other
your
over.
boots
Yeah.
off. I guarantee that guy was miserable all freaking day with wet boots.
Oh, probably, yeah.
Yeah, like,
He
dude.
definitely didn't hunt the whole day.
No,
Oh.
he only hunted in the morning.
And by the way, we went up there and
So we stocked up on
me
him
and Jim hunted 4 days, and we hunted all day, like in the woods
every day.
Every
we didn't.
day.
We did not go back
We
to
never
camp.
went back.
We stayed in all day.
Yeah.
And so we finally catch up to this guy because I was like, Doug, we're gonna catch up to this guy because I want to know which direction he's going.
So we're stalking a dude as we're like,
Yeah. So we
elk
like
hunting.
Yeah.
we would see him up ahead of us, and I'd be like, slow down, Doug. Like, let's just keep it on him and see which
we're like
direction he goes.
we're like creeping like to the side of the road to
He
like
never
keep
saw
out
us.
of the view.
We
Yeah,
we trailed him for what, half a mile maybe?
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
And he kept going around blowing his bugle. And we'd come creeping up behind him, and I'd be laughing at Doug. And I'm like, we should blow the cow call. You know, like. And so finally, like, he blows the bugle one time, and he's coming up to a Y. And I'm like, let's just run up to him so that we can find out where he's going, you know?
yeah, because we need to decide where he's going and where we're going at this point, basically.
Yeah. And so I decided with him a little bit, and I don't think he got my sense of humor because I came running up right after he ripped a bugle. I'm like, did you hear that? Did you hear that bull bugle right over here? And he's like, that was me bugle. And I'm like, I know, dude.
You're like, you're really good.
I'm like, I could tell. And so I'm like, which direction are you going? He's like, I'm going this way. And I'm like, okay, we'll go this way.
Which worked out because that was actually kind of what we wanted to do anyway.
Yeah. So he goes up and he disappears, and then me and Doug go. And as we're going, we're getting into more and more elk sign.
And
like, we're getting closer.
And we had found like some like main heavy highway trails like coming down the hill to go down to the river. So we were like, screw it. Let's just get to one of those highways and just go up it.
Yeah.
So that's what
we're
we
just
did.
we're gonna find where these elk are going.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's morning time. We know they're probably heading to a bedding area, right?
Right.
So we do that, and
It's steeper than shit.
Yeah, we kind of screwed ourselves because it took longer to climb the hill than we thought it would.
But
it was
man,
so steep.
there was so much sign in there.
Yeah,
Holy hell.
we made it into their bedroom, and we were getting towards the top, and I don't think we heard any elk bugle. We heard that guy bugle one more time. And I was like, let's get over this way. This guy's over here.
The far off Yanni bugle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we waited. We hunted throughout the day, and we worked our way back down. And Doug decided he was going to sit on one of the trails, the main trails, and I was going to sit on a main trail. And so, but we were like maybe 200 yards apart?
Probably.
Yeah. And so I'm sitting down there and I'm waiting. We've been settled in for maybe an hour. And then what happened, Doug, on your trail?
Oh, boy. So on my trail, I was sitting at the bottom of a drainage, kind of like where it popped out.
Right.
And I think, that's what the elk had been using, was those drainages. So I'm sitting there, and this was like the only time that I was not wearing my revolver. Right, I got a 460 Smith & Wesson.
Doug carried that thing the entire time, but then he took it off this one
I was so
2-hour period.
We literally had hiked I think we ended up hiking 15 miles that first day, right? So I decided I couldn't take it anymore, and I put it in my backpack because I got tired of having it on me.
Your chest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had it in my bag, and I'm sitting there, and then all of a sudden this bear pops out.
Oh, you're shitting me.
At the bottom of this drainage, and I'm like, oh boy, right? And I'm sitting there I'm ready to go, and this bear starts working up the road towards me, and I'm like, okay, I get my muzzleloader up, and I'm ready to let this bear have it as soon as it gets, because the grass was pretty tall on the road,
right?
So I'm like, okay, well, this bear's working towards me. I'm just gonna let it get out of the grass to where I have a good shot,
right?
And it never stopped the entire time. So it comes out of the grass, and after the whole thing happened, James ranged it, and this bear was 19 yards from where I was sitting.
Holy crap.
And I let this bear have it with my muzzleloader, right? And I'm sitting on top of my my bag, in front of me, sitting on the ground.
As a rest?
So I got a rest. So I'm sturdy as could be.
Right.
There's no way.
Right.
I pull the trigger, boom! It's just a huge cloud of smoke. And as soon as the cloud of smoke clears, all I see is this bear on its back, pancaked, just laying there like that. I'm like, holy shit, what just happened? And then all of a sudden this bear shakes its head, gets up, bites at its shoulder, spins around, gets up and hobbles off with 3 legs. And I'm like, what the hell? So I'm like, and as soon as I pulled the trigger and saw that the bear was on its back and was about to get up, I'm scrounging at my bag to try and get my revolver out, right? And as soon as I get my revolver out, the bear is gone, and I can hear it crashing through the woods, and I mean, it's so thick. And I'm like,
it was like a vine maple stuff.
Super
the stuff
thick.
you can't even walk into.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was one point we were walking through stuff like that. James just jumped into it. I'm like, what are you doing, Jim? So I go and I start looking for it, and I didn't hear anything other than it just running off. Right. Didn't hear any moaning. Didn't hear a stop of the thrashing. I heard thrashing, and it just sounded like it kept going. And I'm like, oh, this isn't good.
Right.
But this bear is messed up.
Right.
I did not miss this bear.
Yeah, no, you hit it for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
Just hammered this bear.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for the bear. I'm trying to see if I hear any more noise. I can't hear nothing. It's just completely silent. And then Jim comes around the corner. He's like, what happened? I'm like, I just hammered a bear. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, dude.
I'm like, really?
Yeah.
That'd be the last thing I'd expect to come out of this elk trail.
Right.
Yeah. So he comes over, and we come to find out, we go over where I shot the bear, and all that was there was just a piece of fur. No
with a
blood.
little bit of hide.
Little bit of skin.
Yeah, a little bit of skin.
Really?
No blood.
No blood whatsoever.
And then
Not
we
even a speck.
went through the area, scanned it for a couple hours, and couldn't even pick up tracks coming out of any of the shit.
No tracks, no blood, nothing. So it's at this point, it's pure vine maple. It got into some even more brushy stuff that wasn't vine maple, but it was like you could walk through that.
Right.
But it was so thick. And then Doug's like, it went for a ways, you know, like maybe 100 yards plus. And then
like it sounded like it ran out of like what I could hear basically.
So, I mean, without we had no
we had no
clues
sense
of which
direction.
trail.
Well, like, we had a direction. I had an idea where it kind of went, but without blood or picking up tracks after the fact, like there was no way of.
So we looked basically till dark.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, let's give it till dark if we can pick up some blood or something.
Right, yeah.
Like, maybe we can find it.
Nothing, huh?
Nothing. Just
Dang, man.
Never did. And so, you know, that was a bummer.
Yeah.
Because
such a wild,
just from like,
night,
you know, like
after
19 yards, muzzleloader, those muzzleloader bullets are heavy. You're shooting what, 250s?
It was a 250 grain SST.
Yeah.
Really?
And
So-
I absolutely, and he was walking kind of towards me, and I shot at him like this, so it was a frontal shot.
Mm-hmm.
But at that range, like,
But at that range, I mean, that bullet probably never really expanded. So what I think happened is I probably just missed the vitals, and just completely blew out the shoulder.
yeah, probably a little bit to the right, maybe.
Just hit right here, and just
Right.
completely blew this out, and the vitals were still like okay.
Huh.
Because
Golly.
they're freaking tough animals.
Dude, they're so
Yeah.
so tough.
If you don't kill them stone cold dead, like
So,
they are the worst.
We never joke about it. Like you can never kill it too much.
You cannot
Yeah.
kill something too. I would rather shoot a bear with like a howitzer than like, you know what I'm saying?
That's what I felt like I was shooting too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you should always put in a follow-up shot if it's moving.
This bear was laid out like on its back. I thought the bear was dead in the middle of the road,
Yeah.
and it laid there for 5 seconds, like, "Duh!"
And
and then
woke
just
up
caught
and-
its wind and just got up and
Yeah.
ran off with 3 legs. And I'm like, holy shit, what just happened?
Yeah,
Dude.
it's wild.
So that was the first bear encounter.
That was the first bear encounter.
So
of the trip.
so no recovery.
So no recovery.
blood, no recovery.
No blood.
It was a
Couldn't pick
bummer.
up tracks. And
You
it
know,
was like,
that was the second bear this season between me and Doug that we lost, and you know I hadn't lost a bear in a long time,
They're so, dude, you have to be.
and we lost 2 this season, which sucks. Really
Yeah.
bad.
They're so hard to track.
100%.
They're the hardest animal I've ever.
Well, and the worst thing is
ever
like
tracked.
you don't know. Like maybe that bear died. Maybe that bear becomes a legendary 3-legged bear in the area. I don't know.
Right?
So
I honestly don't think that bear made it.
I don't think so
100
either.
yards.
Probably, but anyways,
I really wish I would have had that on camera because
at least you could
It
have
was
watched the footage too to see
incredible.
like where it hit too.
You know, we bitch and complain about the cameraman all the time. No matter, even if it's one of us, like
Yeah.
it sucks hunting with a camera.
Yeah,
But when you pull that trigger, dude, he's the best person in the whole world.
oh yeah.
Because you can always go back and be like, oh,
Because if there's any uncertainty,
Yeah.
you go okay. Let's watch the footage.
yeah,
Where did we hit? Did
Yeah.
we hit? You
Yeah.
know, and then it gives you a little bit of security or clarity on whether you missed or.
Well, our
that happened perfectly with my buck that I shot last year.
yeah,
Because I shot him.
yeah,
Otherwise, you would have never known.
I would have had no idea
Yeah.
of where my shot actually hit.
yeah.
Yep. Never would have even known.
Well, that bear that I shot on our film, you know, dude, I was dying. It was miserable.
Yeah.
I was just like,
I don't know where I hit him.
yeah, I messed up. I feel like it was low. Like it was just like, dude, the doubt and the frustration and the pain was horrible.
Well,
And that's how I felt when that bear ran off. I'm like, I don't know now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I just absolutely hammered this bear.
right.
And
unless
it's laying on its back in the middle of the road.
unless
Right.
they're laying there dead,
And all of a sudden
anytime it runs off, you're
it
like,
catches the wind and runs off with 3 legs. And I'm like, what just happened?
yeah. It
Yeah.
happens, man. It's happened to a lot of guys.
Freaking bears, dude.
So that brings us to the next day. So then the next day,
That was Sunday.
yeah, that was Sunday.
So you search till dark. You go back. You get up early again?
We got up earlier.
Even earlier.
Earlier?
Yes. So
Holy
we're in
shit.
an hour and a half before daylight, hiking in, crossing the river in the dark again.
Yeah.
You're hiking an hour and a half before dark? Mm-hmm. Dude.
Because in order to get to where we thought the elk were starting off in the morning,
Right.
we
It's
needed
like
to be
4 or
way
5
in.
miles in just to
So-
get to where they're going to be.
We're hiking in the dark. I got my bugle this time so that we can hit the locator in the morning and try to find out where this herd is.
Right.
So we get in there and we hammer a bugle. We hear some responses way off. Not even to where we are. We're 3 miles in already. And we're like, oh man, they're even further.
Way off bugle? Give me
Yeah.
a Yanni way off bugle, Doug.
No, mine's not good.
Okay, they're over there.
I like Yanni's whistle that he does.
So-
That's pretty good, James. I like that.
We had a chuckler.
We did have a chuckler.
Really?
There was a bull that wouldn't bugle. He would just go every time.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And then there was one that we
There
called
was-
the lion. That
there
was like,
there was probably 5. At one point, they all started just going off, and there was probably 4 or 5 bulls that were
you
just
could
lighting it up.
you could start to pick out which
Right.
bugles were which bull. We're like,
Yeah.
okay, that's the young
We
bull.
started getting really excited because they're like, all right, now we got little something to start chasing, right?
Yeah.
You
Because we know that
we
one
beat
of
the
those
bush.
bulls, I think we figured out somewhere along the way which bull we thought had the cows with it, which was the herd bull.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was the lion bull that was running around going.
Right.
And but the problem is he kept pushing his cows.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because the satellite
moving.
bulls kept just doing loops
messing with them.
around
Yeah.
the herd. And then that bull just kept pushing them.
Oh, yeah.
And so we were constantly on their tail, the herd's tail, moving around. So
And then we'd run into the satellite bulls here and there, and we're like, oh, there's a nice 380-inch
dude,
satellite bull.
Oh, you're
satellite.
shitting me,
Some of
that
the
big?
satellite
Huge.
bulls were like 360 to 380 bulls.
Really?
Yeah. There was 2 of them that we saw that were both just hammers. We never did see the lion bull. But
Really?
we saw we jumped one of the satellite bulls at like 50 yards, and he was like a 360 bull. And then we had another bull sneak in on us quiet when we were cow calling, and he came in and then pinned us for like 10 minutes straight.
At like, what, was it 30 yards? you
Yeah, it was
said?
like 30 yards.
Really?
And he was like a 360 to 380 bull, somewhere in there. We didn't get a really clear look at him because he was in the trees, but
Dang.
he was a hammer.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And then the lion bull, I can only imagine, had to have just been an absolute just stud.
Smasher. And the guy that we had ran into, he said he'd seen the herd bull, and he had 15 cows with him, is what he was saying.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was just like a cat and mouse game the whole trip, like trying to catch
We
up to
were
them.
constantly chasing bugles, like trying to figure
And
out.
we were in the elk, like day one, basically. Like once we figured out where they kind of were,
Right.
we're like, okay, we're getting closer. And then the next day, we might have heard something, and the sign was getting better, and it was getting fresher. And then that day is
well,
when
we
it
started
just-
figuring it out too.
yeah, we started figuring out where they were working,
Yeah.
and we got deeper in the shit.
Yeah. And then I found a nice 6-point shed while we were moving in on a herded elk.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like we were crossing the drainage. We were following bugles.
Did you bring it back?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Brought it back. Nice. It was a nice looking 6-point shed.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I was just like, looked down. I was like, oh, Doug, look. I just grabbed it. I'm like, I got a 6-point shed. I gave it to Easton. He has it on his dresser now. He's like, this is so cool, Dad.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it sits on his dresser.
The
So
participation trophy.
I
is
call
what
it the
should-
participation trophy.
Dude.
So
And the amount of sign that we're finding over there was incredible.
we were
I
in-
mean,
we were
the
in 'em.
rubs were like 50 yards apart. There was trees just thrashed.
if we can get a bull tag for that unit, I think we'd be sitting pretty good.
We even found a wallow too. Mm-hmm. Where a bull had been working, and I ended up putting a camera in there. We were gonna sit in that wallow,
Right.
and then we decided to go down, and the elk were there that night.
That night
Really?
they showed up right at dark, yeah. And I
If
was
we
like,
would have
damn
just
it.
stayed there, we might have had something happen.
Yeah. So anyways, let's fast forward to the good stuff here.
So there
We've been
you were.
going
You
for a
shot a
while.
bear.
Okay, so So we finally get into the elk. So we're like, we know where we need to be.
This is morning 3 of chasing the herds.
Yeah. So Monday. That was when we finally got into them really good.
And you shot the bear on day 1 or day 2?
I shot a bear on Sunday.
Day 2 of Doug being there, yeah.
Yeah.
And then this is day 4.
And then Tuesday,
all right,
we were chasing the herd. Like
right.
we got in there even earlier.
Even earlier.
To where we figured they were working, but they were still ahead of us. And they were working their way up into the shit, and we were like trying to hurry up to try and get in there, but it was still dark, and it's like trying not to blow anything out at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I don't know what happened. We
kept following
separated.
bugles.
We separated there for a minute once it got light to see if we could kind of get in between them, but
they moved side hill and then went around the side of the mountain, then up and over.
Oh.
And we were anticipating we were going to be up.
We were anticipating them
at the crossing point,
coming up through the drainage.
But they did something different that morning.
Huh.
So then we
regrouped.
We reconnected.
What did we do?
We worked in because that bull was bugling. I got him ripping for a while.
Yeah.
And then we cut him off, and it was that one of those satellite bulls again. And we had him walk in front of us.
Really?
And then we just started following him.
We started following him because he was following the herd to try to get in on the lion bull that had crossed over and was working up the ridge. And by now, it's getting a little later.
Right.
And so we're working on that bull that we think is the herd bull, and he's up on top of this bench. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, we'll come around, we'll skirt around the side, and we'll kind of
So we were like working through some brush to try and get over to another road to see if we
kind of
can
like
get
a shallow
over
draw.
to them.
Right.
So as we're walking, all of a sudden we're walking through the. And I mean, it's like
thick.
It's like it's thick like jack pine, and then there's like some openings. Mm-hmm. So
a lot
like,
of
we're like kind of
gooseberry bushes
weaving
everywhere,
in and out, trying to be as quiet as we can because we're right on the ass end of the elk.
Right.
And then all of a sudden there's some like really loud crashing, like in the trees, just like off to our left. And I'm like, I look at Jim. He's like, oh.
And I'm like, there's something
in there.
Let's hang tight for a second.
Hang tight. And then we're like doing this. We're like crouching down to see if we can see it. And I see just brown. And I'm like, James, it's a bear. And he's like, what?
Yeah.
It's a bear?
Like dark brown?
Yeah, like dark brown.
Okay.
Like it was
because
like,
elk are brown.
It was
no, not like
deer brown.
Not like the
it's
tan.
that brown.
Oh, it's chocolates.
Chocolate brown.
Okay.
Like
all right.
dark
Now
brown.
we're talking. Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, it's a bear, Jim. So Jim's over. He's like, I'm like, because I already shot at a bear. So I'm like, it's Jim's turn, right?
Yeah.
And I got the camera in my hand too, because I'm trying to film some of this as well.
Okay.
So Jim's over there trying to cock his muzzle loader. And he's fiddling around, right, with this muzzle loader. And he's like, I can't get it to stay cocked. And I'm like,
what?
It was not
what's
cocking.
going on?
It wasn't getting, it was like stuck.
Fiddling with it. And I just hear like in the woods. And I'm like, Jim. He's like, he looks at me. He's like, oh, well, Doug, you're going to have to do it. And I'm like, okay. So I like kind of like set my camera like over to the side and I grab my muzzle loader and I'm like, okay, it's about to come out. And then a bear popped out behind us and Jim was over there and he was able to finally get his muzzle loader cocked.
Well, I had heard the
in the back, like behind us. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, oh shit. And he finally got his gun cocked, and a bear popped up behind us.
Oh shit!
And Jim pulls up his muzzleloader and shoots it like instantly.
Is that like popping his jaws?
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Like because we were on top of it. Basically.
Yeah, they were. It was danger close.
Right.
Yeah.
So he shoots a bear, and we don't see anything after that, and things kind of settle for a second, and then next thing you know, another bear pops out behind me. And I'm like, oh shit.
No, I heard something and all of a sudden I'm like focusing on what I'm doing over here.
Right.
And I hear Doug say something like, behind us. And this bear pops out at like, what, 8 yards? If that.
I'm thinking about it. I'm pretty
thinking
sure
it's like
it was
5
5
yards.
yards.
Yeah.
Oh, you're shitting me.
It was like from here to those little
Dude.
mini wolf things.
Yeah. So I had my revolver like out like immediately
Yeah, 'cause I had
after all
already
the
shot.
thing had happened.
Right.
So as soon as I made eye contact and we locked eyes with this bear, I just pulled up my 460 and I let this bear have it. Like
And this
right
is
in the chest.
It's not a small bear.
Dude.
This bear's like 300 pounds. It's
It's a
huge
big
chocolate.
bear, big chocolate bear.
Really?
Hammered this bear and it turns off and it books off and I'm like, what just happened?
And I'm like, my ears are ringing because Doug just let
And
that
I had
460
never
rip right
let
next
this
to me.
thing. I had not let this thing rip before without earplugs, like,
Right.
in the woods before.
Yeah.
And
Oh my gosh.
I felt like it was Vietnam. I mean, it was just like,
Dude,
what?
I was a little shell shocked too. I'm just like,
So loud.
and I'm like, what just happened? He's like, that bear snuck in behind us. It was like right on top of us.
Yeah,
Dude, 5 yards, bro.
5 yards.
Dude, it
That's
was like
wild.
it was close enough where like because my gun had already gone off, like I didn't have a shot.
Right.
I had nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm like literally reaching for my knife when Doug was like behind us. I grabbed my Montana knife.
Oh, no, because you got the sheet.
Yeah, and
right
I
on
was
your
ready
back.
to just
Yeah.
rip it out, right?
James was ready.
Dude.
I was like, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for my whole life.
Dude, I've dreamed about that, by the way. I've practiced because it has that, like, whatever Kydex or whatever material it is.
Just
Yeah, because it goes on your backpack.
Yeah.
And when you pull it out, dude, I feel so
It makes
cool
that
when I do
cool
it.
noise.
Yeah.
it gives you a little bit more security, like in the moment, you know, like if you're getting attacked, you can just.
Dude.
That's what I thought literally if Doug doesn't let this thing have it,
yeah.
I'm gonna have to knife fight this bear.
Yeah, that was what was going to happen.
And luckily Doug had already
Isn't that
unholstered
the,
his revolver.
That's the Ranella knife, right?
Yeah, the stubborn. It's got a little bit longer blade, so I was a little bit more comfortable than the Blackfoot with like the 3
Right,
blade,
yeah.
like prison shank in it.
So I let this bear have it, and it takes off.
It blew through the trees.
It blew through the
Yeah.
trees. Heard nothing. It ran off kind of like the first bear I shot.
Right.
And I'm like, oh boy. Instantly I'm thinking. Oh
But
boy,
and Doug
what happened?
starts going in the bushes, like, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" I saw it running over there, and both of us are kind of like, "Oh no!" Like,
Yeah.
Right.
I was like, "Dude, I saw it was like almost 100 yards away at the last point."
Right.
We're having deja vu again. I'm
Right.
like, oh boy.
Before 60, dude.
But I know that Doug just hammered that
Yep.
thing with that big bullet.
Dude, that 460 Smith & Wesson's a hammer. What were you shoot? What bullet were you shooting?
This is a 275 grain Barnes
dude.
Barnes X bullet or something like that. It's a solid copper bullet, but
Right.
it's designed to like open up and hold 95% of its.
Yeah, it's like a hollow point that
Yeah.
opens up like 3/4 of an inch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hammer.
Doug's bear runs off, and we're both kind of like, we don't know. I could tell Doug's very nervous because of what happened the first time.
I feel your pain, Doug.
He's like on pins and needles, like this sucks.
right.
And I'm like, here's what we're gonna do, Doug. My bear just dropped, so I'm like, let's just work on my bear. We'll skin it, we'll
Right.
break it down,
Yeah,
we'll get
yeah.
it in bags.
Yeah.
That way we have one done. We'll give yours a little bit
Give
of
it a little bit
time,
of time, and then we'll go look.
and
for
then
it.
we'll go look for yours. And if yours is dead, then we'll have one done already,
Right.
and we'll start
Yeah.
working on yours.
We don't have to go into the woods and look for mine and go, oh,
Yeah.
there's another wounded
Now we got
bear.
two.
And running off, and James's bear that we haven't done anything with.
Yeah. So, and then the elk are still bugling above us, by the way.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Yeah. At one
Oh,
point,
dude.
I looked at Doug and I was like, should we keep hunting these elk? I'm like, and then come back for the bears?
Right.
It's like, screw the bears. Go
I'm
elk
like,
hunt.
if we get an elk and have two bears down,
like,
we're gonna
James,
be so
dude,
screwed.
let's be smart about this.
Yeah.
Let's go take care of the bears.
So
Oh, dude.
we do mine. We get it all broke down. We skin it and get it in the bags and load it up, and then we walk over to where we last saw yours.
Yeah.
We find blood, and it's not a lot of blood.
no.
It's like little bits of blood, and then it just kind of disappears. And I'm thinking in my head like, oh no, here we go.
Yeah, here we go again.
And
Dude,
Doug's,
classic bear, though. They freaking do not bleed.
it wasn't even like a lot of blood. It was just like little couple drops here. Then there was like one little splatter, and then that was It was nothing.
Dude,
it was nothing.
They never bleed. I think
Not a whole
I
lot.
think you could shoot them with a cannon and they wouldn't bleed.
That's literally
Well, that's what he
I
did,
shot him
dude.
with.
Yeah.
The entrance hole on it was like that.
Dude, a 460
Yeah.
Smith & Wesson is no joke.
And then
at point blank.
So we're on the blood, and then we lose it, and we're spread out trying to find it, and then I hear Jim, here he is over here.
Yeah, so there was a logging road right below it. And I was like, I'm like, screw this. Let's cut off some distance. I'm going to go down to this logging road, and I'm going to see if there's any blood or find where this bear crossed the road.
right.
Yeah.
But as I was working down to the road, there was one little patch of thick trees. And I thought, there's a chance that bear could have just piled up right there and not made it to the road.
Right.
I mean, the road's like right there.
Right.
And so I walk over to the edge of those trees, and sure shit, there it is, right there. piled
Really?
up. Yep. And Doug was just
Deader
like,
and shit.
yeah, like he was so
Dude,
jacked.
I was
'cause-
so pumped. Yeah, it was such a wild experience after the whole thing, and then the couple days before
Attaboy, Doug.
shooting a bear.
I
and
do
not
have to
finding
say, there was a first for me on that trip too. That was my first time tracking a blood trail of a bear with a dead bear on my back. That was pretty cool.
Dude, 2 bears.
2 bears,
You guys suck.
both color face too, and then the other one was a chocolate too. The one that we
Yeah.
didn't find.
Dude,
All
that's
color
awesome.
face bears.
They're all
in there.
Really?
color face, yeah.
God, I gotta step it up.
Yeah, we need to go back there again.
And then Jim was like, "Let's pack them both out
oh
one
yeah,
trip." I'm like, "There's no freaking way we're packing both of these out.
Yep.
This bear I just shot's like 300 pounds."
I'm like, Doug, I'll carry the hide and head.
I
You just
grabbed
carry
a hold
meat."
of the leg, and I'm like trying to pull this thing out. I mean, plus it's like rigor mortis as shit because it literally piled up and died
Yeah, right away.
right away.
Yeah.
So
it
we're like,
didn't
"Oh,
sit
we
there
need to
for a
give
little
it
bit.
time." Like, no,
Right.
this thing was dead. Like as soon as it fell over, it was dead.
It ran itself out of steam and then piled.
Yeah.
That was it.
Wow.
So yeah, so we got his broke down, and then we decided to just go pure cowboy and just load him up. One trip out, and Doug's pack was probably 175 pounds.
Oh, easy.
Mine was probably 150, 60 pounds. It was
No thanks.
it was so painful that it was like, man, this. At one point, remember, I thought I blew my hamstring out because I had this sharp shooting pain that was like a burning pain in the back of my hamstring.
Dude.
And then
Yeah.
it kind of went away. I'm like, well, it's not giving out.
It's not, I'm not falling down yet. Let's
I'm
just
like,
keep going.
Doug's like, oh, if you had a hamstring, you'd be way more pain than that. I'm like, I just felt a weird pop. I don't know what that was.
And then we got to that last there, and then when that spot that we came in that time, when we crossed the river, it's like this,
Oh, yeah.
and we're following game trails that elk had beat into the side of this like steep ass face.
Yeah.
And we're carrying like almost 200 pounds on our back. I'm
Trying
like,
to
I'm
scale
trying
down
not
this.
like, I'm like, either way, it's like if I like too much this way, the whole thing is going.
Oh, yeah.
I'm rolling down the freaking hill. I don't just like pitter patter in my feet because I don't want to blow a knee out. And like one of my knees like started aching really bad. I'm like, oh boy, just
Like-
make it down the hill, Doug.
We just got to get out. There was like, I don't know if I've ever been so beer motivated in my life because when we got down there, we were sweating so much. It was actually getting pretty hot. It was like 70 something.
Right.
Yeah,
pouring
it was
sweat.
the hottest day.
We had to
that
go
we
through
were
this
there.
big wide open field to get to the truck, and we go across and we get to the truck, and Doug had put this cooler with ice cold beer in it.
The only day that I had put the cooler in the
Oh,
truck.
dude.
And it
And
was
it just so
the
happens
best
that
beer.
that day I also put 2 beers in my bag. So after we got my beer, or after we got my bear, and we started breaking it down, we
Right.
broke the beers out, and we had a celebratory beer.
Oh, dude, that's
and
so
it was
good.
So yeah,
That's so good.
He packed it in,
I packed it in,
and they were still cold from him throwing them in the morning.
yeah,
Strong word.
I kind of give him a little bit of shit. Like, you're gonna pack 2 beers in? He's like, celebration.
yeah.
I'm like,
You're
okay.
like, for what? The 2 bears we're
I
going to
packed
shoot
in
because
2
we're elk
I
hunting.
packed in- yeah,
So
the
random.
belk. We shot the belk.
Yeah. But it was super fun. It was probably one of the
Packed
funnest
out-
days I've
yeah,
had on the mountain in
packed
a long
out 2
time.
bears.
God, that's wild.
And then we get back, right? And I look at my pack, and my knife wasn't in my knife holster. And I look at Doug and he's like, "Did you leave it in that tree?" And I'm like, "Damn it. I had stabbed it in a tree." My brand new Stubhorn Montana Knife Company knife.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
I'd stabbed it in the tree and left it there because we did pictures and all this and that, and then got distracted and left it. So then that night, like
I ended
Doug
up
had to go
I ended
home.
up going home. I ran the bears up to the taxidermist. And,
Right.
Shasta, and I was like, "James, you gonna go back out after we just trashed ourselves for 4 days?" And come to find out, he went back in there.
Yep, I hiked all the way back in there and got my knife that night because I was like, "Well, I
Really?
might as well hunt elk tonight." And I was
Dude.
like, I'm like thinking to myself, I'm not shooting one. My body's so trashed. I was like, if I shoot one, I'm just gonna gut it and skin it and then
It's
just
like,
hang
James,
it.
you're just crazy. It's like, "Oh, I'm doing it." And I'm like, "Oh, boy."
That knife's pretty sweet, though.
It is. It was worth going back in for. So.
I'd hike a couple miles for that knife.
Oh yeah, I did.
It's a really cool story.
Yeah.
It's a great story.
All about it.
Oh, dude.
It's gonna
awesome time.
Gonna make some good meats. Doug's got a
yeah.
whole bunch of bear meat to do this year.
Yeah. So I got 2 bears.
Yeah,
Better
I'm
start
tagged
saving for
down.
that butcher bill. We got a lot of process coming your way.
Tagged down on the bears now.
Yep.
I'm PB and jealous on the Bears, boys. Strong work.
Well, still
Strong
got a
work.
little bit of time. It could happen still.
Yeah, we'll see. We got November, we got Montana, and we got Idaho.
They got some beautiful coats right now.
I got a lot of elk and deer ahead of me, but hopefully we can squeeze a bear and we'll see.
Yeah, just get one around here if you can.
You never know.
You never know. Hey, I didn't think that we'd be pulling a couple bears out on this elk trip. So
Right. Yeah.
I mean, but for how much sign we saw, like, we might as well just start bear hunting and predator hunting in there.
Oh, dude, it was predator
There
mania
was
Really?
yeah,
Cat tracks.
cat scat everywhere.
everywhere. There was cat shit everywhere on the roads. Everywhere.
Really?
Everywhere we went, there was fresh. There was some shit that was so fresh. We were like less than an hour behind this cat
Wow.
on the road.
Yeah, and they've definitely been eating the deer because where we seen all
Deer.
that, there was no deer.
Yeah, deer, elk.
Really?
There was no. That was the one thing we noticed. No calves. No calves tracks anywhere. Like any of the groups of cows that we ran into, no calves. So it's not a good thing for predators. So me and Doug did a big favor for that unit.
Yeah,
Yeah. Strong
We
work,
saved a lot
boys.
of elk calves,
Yeah.
which needed to happen there.
for sure. Took a couple less predators. that
Well-
are not going to be roaming in there anymore.
We've really gone for a while on
That's
this one.
okay. We had some wild stories we had to tell. It's
Yeah,
been a
we
minute.
did.
Yeah.
For sure.
Had some crazy shit go on.
Strong work, boys.
Is there
It's
any
been fun.
Is there anything else that we missed on that we need to talk about tonight?
I feel like I have some more stories for sure, but I think that
Oh, we got tons of African
You know.
stuff to clear out still.
I think the bear thing that you touched on with the fishing game, obviously we've been fighting them on cougars as well. I think just the predators in general.
Get out there and do some predator hunting. People.
Yeah, hammer down.
Mm-hmm.
Trapping season opens up November 1st. Get after that as well. I will be killing the crap out of the bobcats around my house.
Mm-hmm.
If there's anything else, raccoons. I'll even whack a few possums.
Don't
The Possum King. over here.
don't let a chance go to waste.
Yeah.
Yeah, let this be.
I was literally out there elk hunting on both of these trips, and I ended up shooting a bear.
Yep.
I ended up shooting 3 bears.
Yeah.
Pretty freaking wild.
Yeah.
So
Never would have thought.
Well, and we gave up our chance at elk that morning for those 2 bears.
For the bears, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Don't
And
pass up on it.
Never pass up an
Yeah,
opportunity.
and if you get a chance, I don't know if I talked about this last time, but while I was in Africa, a coyote ate my cat. I got a
yeah.
game picture of a coyote.
There's coyotes in Africa?
No, here at the house.
While I was in Africa,
While he was in
yeah.
Africa.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Jackals,
I was like, what?
jackals in Africa. But yeah, while I was here, I saw a coyote going down my driveway with my cat in its mouth. So I'm gonna murder
That
every
cat. That
every
coyote.
single coyote around here. So I've been that's my fault. I haven't been doing a good job. They're everywhere. They're eating everyone's cats, and I can see that. Like I'm sitting in there, and because it's 9 hours ahead, so it's in the middle of the night here. It's the middle of the day there, and I get a boop. I'm like, oh, what's this? And I look, and I'm like, oh, there's my black and white cat hanging in that coyote's mouth.
That sucks.
Real cool, and I'm
So
way
then
too far away.
Yeah, then I got to text
You're like,
my...
I'm in Africa.
Yeah.
We're going to wait to tell the daughter about this one.
Yeah, I text my wife. I'm like, hey, tell Gloria that don't keep going outside trying to call the cat. It's not coming back.
Don't look for the cat.
Yeah.
It's not coming back.
Yeah.
Poor meow meow.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. It's like
That's okay, dude. I lost one last year to what I think was the bobcat that I killed.
Yeah.
That big one.
That was a big bobcat.
Yeah.
That was a big bobcat.
Gosh, dude. These predators, they're getting ballsy. I mean, I have coyotes coming right around the barn. Like they'll chase the cat into the barn.
Yeah.
So,
I got a big bobcat that jumps the chain link fence, the 5-foot chain link fence down below where my ducks are at, and we'll go in and dude, like 10, 15-pound ducks. They're Muscovy ducks.
Yeah, they're big ducks,
giants,
and they're nasty too. They hissed at me when I fed them that one
dude.
time.
They do not mess around. Yeah, and I got a bobcat.
Kind of scary.
Eating my ducks. So I got some bobcats to kill. So yeah.
Long story short, shoot the predators.
Shoot the predators.
Get out there and do it.
Well, to wrap us up,
Yeah, wrap us up, Doug.
We don't have a lot to talk about to finish. We got our spring hunt coming out this Friday.
Don't forget about that.
Don't forget about that.
Yeah.
Check it out. Make sure you put a comment on there, Hatari, for the special giveaway that we're gonna do.
Yeah, that's for this one.
Yeah.
For that one, we don't know for sure yet. Just leave a comment on that video.
We'll figure it out.
But for this one, if you want a T-shirt, Hatari.
we have a whole list of sponsors that we'll put up at the end, but support those who support us, please and thank you.
Yep.
yeah. And until next time, stay humble and hunt hard.